Hi there, I'm Alessandra Latour, a leadership expert with over 15 years of experience leading teams and developing leadership programs for over 400 leaders. I've had the privilege of designing learning programs for companies ranging from 15 to 5,000 team members, and I've earned a Doctor of Education degree to make sure that all of the programs I develop maximize learning and action. Through the Latour Leadership Academy, I empower emerging and existing leaders to embrace their authentic leadership style, create team synergy, and foster a positive work culture through curated and personalized learning experiences. In this podcast, we'll talk about how leadership can be found in everyday activities and provide practical tips for those who are new to managing or leading a new team. If you're a leader or hoping to be one, by title or not, I'd love to connect, get to know you better, and find out how I can help. You can grab a free resource on my website, latourleadershipacademy.com, and sign up for my weekly email newsletter where we talk about leadership skills, network, and share action-based ways to enhance team collaboration and positive productivity. Today's minisode is all about leaders who are struggling with self-doubt, feeling like they're not good enough, and wondering how they can feel more confident as leaders. Let's get started. All right, so first one is, I'm afraid I'm not living up to my title in meetings with senior leadership. Any advice? So yeah, that must feel not great. And you might be feeling that, they really don't see your success. They don't see you as the person that should be in that role. And that's, remember, your perception, and your perception is not necessarily their perspective, right? So again, your perception isn't necessarily their perspective. I think that's a pretty profound statement, and it helps us really understand that we might not be what we think we are coming across as, but our perception might not be, again, their perspective. So rather than beat that horse, so I want you to look at whether you're achieving your goals, right? So usually if you're in a leadership role, you've got some sort of key performance indicators and you're working towards them. So I want you to look at, are you achieving those goals? Are you making progress on your KPIs? Is that somewhere where you could look for, yes, I am actually being successful in this role? And then take those KPIs and use that business talk when you're with your leadership team, your senior leaders, and talk to those and speak to those and talk about how you're impacting them. And that's going to give you some credibility in that space and also make you feel more confident. And then another thing you might try is you might ask a colleague at a similar level as you to give your feedback on how you're presenting at that senior leadership meeting. So they might be able to tell you, here's how you're coming across, here's how you're addressing their questions, here's how you're taking things back to work on. And that might give you some idea of how you're coming across to somebody else too. So I think feedback might also be a great tool for you there. All right, so this one is, again, similar line here. Other leaders seem more confident and successful in my organization. How do I stop comparing myself to them, excuse me. And I think one of the things that I've heard recently, for a long time and recently, is comparison is the thief of joy, right? So if you really want to feel good in what you're doing, you've got to look at how you're doing it, not how everybody else is doing that. So what I would suggest is acknowledge that everyone starts somewhere. If you're a newer leader, you're starting in a different place than potentially some of these people that seem more confident and more successful. I think you might also think about the phrase fake it till you make it, not that you should fake it till you make it necessarily, but that other people may be doing that, right? So if they're coming across more confident and they seem more successful, it may be because they're physically saying, you know what, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to portray what I want to become. And so that might help you too. You might want to say, listen, I want to be a successful and confident leader. Let me try that on. I was listening to a podcast, and I forget which one because I listened to quite a few. And they recommended, if you wanted to try something new, I remember who it was. It was Vin, who talks about speaking in front of people. And I can get you guys that resource of his contact information for his social media. He was talking about trying out a new voice or a new tone or a new approach, or if you're introverted, trying out some extroverted things or vice versa, and doing it at like the grocery store. So you would go to the grocery store and you're meeting people that you've never met before, potentially. Maybe it's a grocery store you've never been to. And you go up to the cashier and you try on what you want to be in front of people, like how you want to be in front of people. Try it on, talk louder if you normally talk softly, try different tones, speak slower,
ask more questions, try to empathize better with people. Do this in a setting where it's low risk, right? You may never go back to that grocery store. You're probably never going to see this person again. And you're trying to just see how they respond to your persona that you want to be, right? And so it's not being inauthentic. It's just saying, I want to be more well spoken, perhaps. I want to use new vocabulary that I'd never used before. And I'm going to practice that. And then I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to be the person who speaks confidently with different types of language and doing that in a new space so I can practice kind of in that low risk sense. So try that. That might help in terms of the comparison part and practicing what you want to be. And then the other thing you might want to do is try to build rapport with those leaders that you feel are confident and successful. Ask them what makes them a successful leader. And maybe even consider asking one to be your mentor or your peer guide in leadership and seeing if you guys can work together to figure out why you don't feel that way and why they do, right? See what you can come up with. And you might also make a good friend doing that too. All right, another one kind of on the same lines here. How can I build genuine self-confidence when I constantly doubt my abilities? So yes, you're in the throes of imposter syndrome here, right? I want you to remember first, you're not in your current role without a lot of hard work to get there, and people that saw that hard work and your potential to put you there, right? So you didn't suddenly get this title or this role just by osmosis, right? You did a lot of hard work to get there and somebody recognized that, and that's why you're in that spot. So how could you start to build that self-confidence? I, again, would suggest feedback from other people. So feedback from other people, also reflection on your own, are two ways that you can build that self-confidence over time. One of the great things about the From Imposter to Impact bundle that we have at Latour Leadership Academy is that can help you, the tools in that can help you really check on your abilities. It includes a quiz to uncover your strengths, a feedback activity where you ask others who you trust to tell you where they think you've been successful. It includes a guide for setting goals to help you document your achievements, a resource to help you build that support system around you to help you not feel like an imposter, and then a follow-up reflective exercise to help you maintain your confidence over time and experience less or no imposter syndrome in the future. So it's a really great resource that I recommend for you on that. But definitely the self-reflection piece and the feedback piece are two components to building that self-confidence over time. All right, the last one in this section here, what are some ways to manage the stress and anxiety that come from feeling like I'm not yet good at my role? And I love that this person wrote not yet good at their role, right? That's something that we really need to pay attention to, right? Nobody started in a role and was amazing day one. Very few people, I should say. Probably can't say everybody. I'm sure there's some like football quarterback that was amazing from day one. But anyway, your emotional well-being is really important. So you don't want to feel stress and anxiety around your role, at least not on a regular basis, right? So remember to take time to step away from your role. Take time from thinking about your role. So that means that you need to manage your work time so that it doesn't collide or replace your non-work time. That'll help you reframe things to your work. So you work when you're supposed to work and you don't feel like you're on when you're not supposed to be on. And so kind of having that separation will start to relieve some of that stress and anxiety, because in your non-work time, you'll do things that you love to do and be with people you love to be with. And that will, calm you more for being on when you're in work. So I hope those helped.
Thanks for joining me for this mini-sode. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, you could find me there, sharing practical tips and insights on all things leadership. And don't forget to grab the free resource on my website, latourleadershipacademy.com, and get more great tips directly in your inbox. Have a great rest of your day and see you back here soon.